Hello there everyone, welcome to this week's Gran Turismo 7 Daily Race C Race and Strategy Guide. We're off to the Nurburgring 24-hour layout and we are in the Red Bull X2019. If you're not aware, this was the final race of the Nations Cup for the GTWS World Series that just finished yesterday on Sunday. So this is a replica, very similar to the race that they did there, albeit they did 7 laps. We're only doing 4 laps. Tyre wear is at times 3, fuel is at times 2. It's the racing soft and the racing medium tyres are available. In the GTWS event they did have the hard tyres as well. Both compounds are going to be mandatory. BOP is on, damage is light, it's a rolling start, slipstream is custom. And strangely, settings allowed for this one are your brake balance, your ride height and your aerodynamics in terms of downforce. But I have just left my car on default for the race that we're about to take a look at now. My prediction is that this race is going to be wildly unpopular with the player base, based on the fact that any time we used the X2019 back in the GT Sport days, the player numbers were very poor compared to, say, Group 3, Group 4, and even Group 2, and maybe not so much against Group 1. But I remember they did this a race with this car at Le Mans, and only 19,000 people set a qualifying time, and around about at that time 50 to 70,000 people would set a qualifying time on a Group 3 or a Group 4 race. So my prediction is that this will be a wildly unpopular race. But on the flip side, we have to give credit where credit is due to Polyphony Digital, because the X2019 has never been used for a daily race C. So if we're handing out points for originality, then this is an original car and track combination. And we're going to start this race off with a murder there, as we clip the back end of the German car in front of us and spin them round. Now, anybody that watches the channel regularly knows we have a no wait policy, and part of the reason why I don't wait is because you never quite know the full circumstances of an accident. We actually got tapped into at the start of the race, which then tapped us into the German and resulted in them spinning. So we don't wait, because accidents happen in motorsport. It was an accident, and I wouldn't say we were fully to blame for that one. Anyway, all the same, my apologies to the German driver. Never nice to have your race compromised so heavily on the first corner, regardless of the circumstances of how it happened. But let's get back to the race action here. We've moved up into 5th place with a pretty good start. That's going to become 4th place as we pass the recovering French driver, who's had a little bit of an accident, and moves up into 4th, which is a pretty nice start indeed. And that was soon to become 3rd place, because the German at the front of the race, the yellow flags are briefly going to come out. The German who started on pole position and was leading has had a spin, and that's going to move us up into the podium position. Now, that German driver is going to feature in this race a little bit more, because they are very, very quick indeed. Moving up into P2 as we come down, I guess what you would call maybe the back straight of the track. The British driver there giving us lots of respect, lots of room as we move up into P2. And we're only 2.6 seconds off the leader as we finish off that overtaking. As we jump forward here to the start of lap 2, the Spanish driver is going to have an accident of their own, and that's going to move us into the lead, albeit a somewhat brief lead at this point. We had caught the Spanish driver, not particularly quickly, but we had caught the Spanish driver over the course of the first lap and the start of the second lap. But the German had spun, that started in pole position, he maybe fell down to around about 4th place or something. Obviously very fast indeed. They caught us as we came down this fast section here, and we didn't make their life particularly difficult for them. I could see they were significantly quicker than us, and they opened up a little bit of a lead before they once again put the car into the barrier, moving us back up into the lead. And for the record, I am surprised as anyone at this point in this race that I am actually leading. We've got a 2-second gap over the Spanish driver behind us. Now, coming down the back straight here to finish lap 2, I decided to check the fuel. I had a suspicion that fuel was going to be a little bit of an issue. I did turn the fuel mix up to 6 at the beginning of the race, and we can see we are short by around about, it's going to be maybe half a lap by the time we come round to come into the pits. So going from the medium tyres, which are mandatory, and the soft tyres, which are mandatory, both compounds are mandatory. We started on the mediums, and we're moving on to the soft tyres here at the end of lap 2. You can see our medium tyres are not massively worn at this point, so they'll easily do a third lap if you want to do a third lap on the mediums, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. Taking on a splash of fuel, 14%, the fuel rate is set to 10 litres per second, so the fuel does go into the car pretty quickly, but overall you're going to lose 20 seconds in the pits just changing the tyres, and around about 1 second per 10% of fuel that you take on. So my pit loss here was around about 21 seconds, and we emerged back onto the track 6.5 seconds behind Kevin, the German, who has not pitted at this point. And Kevin was to be very, very kind to us, an absolute gentleman. As we caught up to them pretty quickly, they moved out our way and let us carry on in the lead. Obviously, we're not quite in the same race, they have a pit stop to make. So we're going to jump forward here to the start of lap 4 as we go on to the Nordschleife part of the lap. We got a comfortable lead over the Spanish driver, but I was not looking at the Spanish driver, I was looking at the German driver in third, who's just moved up into P2, because I knew if they got up into P2 they were going to start catching us rapidly. But with 7.5 seconds of a lead, I decided there was no point taking any risks, just bring the car home. They did catch us very rapidly, but we did enough to bring the car home in first place to actually win the race. I will say this though, that those soft tyres on the second lap did not feel very good at all. I will need to do some further investigation. I suspect there may be some temperature issues going on there, because yeah, I did take it easy, but I did feel like the soft tyres were pretty second hand by the end of the race. It's a long race here for Daily Race, 26 minutes, 27 minutes, which is going to be a bit of a struggle to get into the next race directly after it, if that is your plan, especially in the lower lobbies. But let's move on to those all important strategy options, because there is actually a number of strategies available to you in this one. Now, the vast majority of people are going to do the first two strategies there. They're going to start in the mediums for 2 laps and then 2 laps on the softs, or 2 laps on the softs, 2 laps on the mediums. 99% of people are going to just do that kind of strategy, and they'll probably just take fuel on at the pit stop as well, because you can save 2 seconds if you fuel save over the course of the race, but in a 27-minute race is 2 seconds really worth it. There is the option of doing 3 laps on the soft tyres. You're going to have to be an absolute tyre whisperer. And I don't think it's going to be a strategy you'll see very often, but it definitely is possible. As I said though, don't risk that one unless you know you're an absolute ballerina on the soft tyres. And you also have the option, if you're not enjoying the second lap on the soft tyres, of doing 3 laps on the medium tyres. Maybe not the fastest way to do it, but the medium tyres are pretty solid and not massively slower than the soft tyres. So if you just want the car to be nice and stable, maybe just do the 3 laps on the mediums, 1 lap on the soft. But as I said, the vast majority of people are going to do 2 medium, 2 soft, or 2 soft, 2 medium, and probably just take the fuel on at the pit stop. I think that will be the quickest way to do the race, but there is a few other options out there if you're looking to try and get some clear track. So, thoughts on this race? Well, as I said earlier on in the video, I think it'll be very unpopular with the vast majority of drivers out there. I think it's one that will be more popular with the very fast drivers. It's a very tricky car to drive. If you enjoy driving the car and you like the Nordschleife, then you're going to be in a pretty good situation. You can have some fun in it. I quite enjoyed the race that I did, but I just think overall it will be a very unpopular race, and even top split's probably going to have B drivers in it by the time we get to Tuesday or Wednesday. It's a case of, because there's good strategy options in there, it's actually one of these cases where it's pretty good settings, but maybe not a very good combo. But I always try to give credit where credit's due. It is an original combination for Daily Race C, and if we're looking for originality, if we want PD to do different things, then we have to at least acknowledge that. And of course, we all know it's really just kind of a little bit of a nod towards the GTWS World Series event from Amsterdam that happened yesterday, if you're watching this video on Monday. But as I said, I think it'll just die off. The cars are tricky to drive, people are going to spin. I would recommend traction control. I used 2, I don't know if you've seen it at the beginning of the video, I showed you the clip where I turned the TC up to 2, but yeah, that's pretty much it for this one. I'll definitely jump in and do it a few times, maybe try some different strategies, see if we can do some tyre whispering, see if we can get the third lap out of those soft tyres, do some tyre temperature investigation, etc. But hopefully the video has been useful in some way, shape or form. Thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you on the next one. Goodbye now.